as a council board report item, as we've received information from Heber City on 2 annexation petition requests, and I thought that we had some concern with them, both of them, on as they relate to the bypass or the proposed bypass, what we're working on. I've since done a little bit of research on both of these, or at least one. This was first presented, at least the ZEB one, was first presented to the Heber City Council on November 6th as a request to accept their annexation petition. That doesn't mean they've accepted the annexation, they've just accepted the petition. There was a problem with the acreage they were defining or something in that November 6th meeting. They passed it, but there was a problem, so they brought it back on December 4th, and a vote of 3-0. There were 2 members missing. They accepted the annexation petition. We since have received, we got notice of the annexation in our letter that was dated January 3rd. We since then, last week, we got a notice from the Heber City clerk, I guess, that the annexation petition has been certified. Isn't that what those documents? Yes. And Natalie has those downstairs too. But we've got, Danny sent us an email with those 2 on. So the petition has been received, and the annexation petition has been received and verified by Heber City. So they're looking at it. And the concern we had, since as we looked at this, I showed you some maps. You said that I think you've all seen them, and I thought I had one in here. I went to our county IT department, had him merge those two maps together, and we have copies of those. So they merged the 3 routes that we were looking at, or the proposed or potential routes. This is on the northern bypass piece. This is the annexation, and we merged those onto there. And I thought I had it. Does anybody have one of those here?
I have it here.
You got it? Oh, there it is. There it is. I knew I had it. So this is what we did so that we could look and understand the potential issue with that annexation request and those 3 potential.
That's too dark.
The prior one was
He's
better
working on
than this one. The light, change the light back where it was.
There we go. Anyway,
Oh, jeez.
You're just getting the reflection. Anyway, I think we can see it enough. And so this is where we're at, other than we pointed out that down here where it hits Southfield Road, Midway Lane, that swings too far to the west from what we've looked at over the years. Option A is the one that's been discussed with Wasatch County and Heber City several years ago. Heber City supported the county. We went and they said, we'll support you on the northern, because that's all, as you work on the northern alignment, because that's all in Wasatch County jurisdiction at the present time. In turn, we committed that we would support Heber City as they continue to develop the southern alignment, because it was all in Heber City proper. And so we've worked together on that over the years. This is a little bit different. Routes B and C came up with this latest study effort that's being done. A proposed gal from BioWest saying that, A won't work because of its impact in the wetlands or the wetlands. B's a little bit. C's would be the preferred given the wetlands, but I guess our issue is those wetlands aren't the wetlands that they were, that she's looking at from 20, 30 years ago, whatever. So that's why that study that we're hoping to get UDOT to commit to is so important, to verify once, where that is now and what UDOT would support, what alignment they would support, given those wetlands. From that discussion last week, you requested that I get with the with John, the attorney's office, and put together a letter of concern, or whatever we want to call it, for Heber City. And John has done that. We have a draft that I'll make available to each of you. We're just a discussion. But John has put together a letter of concern that if we want to next week, we can authorize Danny to sign that and submit that to Heber City Council and Mayor Potter as a concern. We also have 2 documents ready to file with the Boundary Commission if we choose to oppose this annexation request.
So the summary is, our concern is, if this annexation were to happen, if this development were to be approved, it would impact the bypass route so negatively that we would have a difficult time completing the bypass.
Well, the bypass route would impact them. I don't know how they could approve this with B and C. A, if the Route A, which I think is our preferred route, it's been the preferred route for over 10 years, it probably wouldn't impact this development a great amount.
But is that a fair summary of our concerns?
I think so.
Okay. And so we want to make Heber, the city council, the mayor, their staff aware of our concerns with regards to this potential annexation.
Yeah.
That's our goal here.
I think another part of this, and I would suggest that perhaps Mike and Matt and the superintendent of the schools get together and talk a little bit what their intention are. They're looking, I guess, and this is how they're looking at this property right here, school, for a prospective new high school.
Plus Kendall up where C is, from what I understand.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, and that's why I would hope Matt and Mike and perhaps superintendent could really talk about this and what their intentions are, what their thoughts or plans are on the property.
So where is the property that's already been purchased for this, along this route?
Mike,
It's already
isn't
been
it
purchased.
kind of on the bend about where the letter A is?
Just to the right of that.
It's along that straight stretch where the letter A is, up on that A route,
Headed down to...
headed back towards 40, yeah.
That's the only piece, so...
No, the county,
That's what
that's what it's saying, the Route A should hit, I was looking at a map the other day. One of UDOT's concerns in the meeting the other day was, well, here we go, I've got one here. That's at my desk.
Yeah, sure.
One of UDOT's concerns the other day as we talked about this was that if Route A hit right at Southfield Road, what would that do to make those 2 roads work? It's too close to this intersection. Their comment was you'd have to shut this intersection off. As I was looking at some maps the other day that we've worked on, it comes a little bit to the west of that. The intention or the idea that was talked about in the past was that there would be an on-ramp onto this bypass road off of Southfield so that you could quickly empty our recreation facilities here after events. There would be an on-ramp onto the bypass on Southfield Road. There would be an off-ramp to Midway. That would be it. It wouldn't be a 4 on-ramp, off-ramp exchange like you see in other intersections. Obviously, that would probably require that the bypass would do a flyover of Midway Lane, and that's probably what's going to have to happen anyway. We don't want to see how good's the bypass if you're throwing a stoplight on Midway Lane. And if you've been on Midway Lane lately, you know the traffic that's on that road now. But that was the intention that we talked about, that this thing has to swing this way, hit here a little bit to the west. So with that in mind, now once it crosses, then it takes a dive to the west. So with that in mind, Marilyn, to answer your question, the county has purchased this piece of property. Are they 40 acres, Mike? That one's only, anyway, realizing that once that bypass hit, it would cut right through the middle of that individual's property. The county, with corridor preservation money, has purchased this property. We've purchased this property, and so that bypass would run down. And then you'll go on down, there's a piece, the next piece, Irma Moulton, the city required as a condition of annexation. The next piece that's around the church there has been, was bought by Heber.
So there's not much from north of 113.
Coming around here,
Yeah.
I think, did not Heber City maybe nobody
It's
here
south.
remembers.
South
I
of
thought Heber
100.
City acquired a strip across here
We do, we
as
have,
condition of annexation of this piece,
right, there's some land that's close to Highway 40 that I believe the city is already,
right here.
yeah, very close, right,
And then the
right.
county's purchased over here. The last number I saw, we've already obtained either from annexation or by purchase, 60 to 70% of the property on the route, this route.
This area we're talking about, right there on that turn, not that,
Not all of that,
not
no.
anything in that area.
I think part of the problem was that we didn't know where the alignment was, and there's so much purchase, and that was concerns that the council had. That was the last time that.
As we've worked, and of course, those aren't surveyed alignments, but we worked with Sean Cedar at MAG to make those angles to hopefully maintain this as much as possible, the 55 mile an hour bypass. The angles, the curves here.
Okay, so that was our major concern. We have members of the Heber City Council here. One more, you guys have a forum, and the mayor and our city manager. Do you guys have any comment on what we talked about here tonight? Just come on up.
Well,
Okay.
Can I make a quick comment? And then I've got it.
Sure, come on up, Mayor,
So let me just kind of
so we get you on the record.
Thank you for adjusting your schedule and letting us come today. As we all know, there are so many moving parts with this road, but I can guarantee you that I can't think of a more important priority that Heber City has than making sure that this bypass happens to revitalize our downtown and make sure that our traffic flow continues. So I spoke with the petitioner today of the ZEB annexation and made it very clear to him that there would be nothing approved that could potentially hinder the route of that bypass. And we don't know today where that route is. And so we will make sure that nothing would happen that could hinder the route of that bypass, because we're so committed to making sure that that happens. However, this council did approve an initial look at that annexation, partially because the conversation around that portion of the bypass has always been that we would ask that developer to donate that land when the time came, rather than spend corridor preservation funds on it. So in the interest of keeping the cost of that road down so that we can get UDOT to fund it sooner, we hope to work with those property owners, and they seem very open to working with us. So I spoke with him today. He's very open to that and understands clearly the situation that we're in with this route being sort of moving, a lot of moving parts. And as you just mentioned, the school, that changes their whole plan. Like, that's a whole different ballgame now. That plan that they gave us, that's not going to happen because of the school. So secondly, the next step that has to happen is the environmental study. We will never know exactly where that road's going to go until we have an environmental impact study in hand. That study has been estimated by the head of UDOT for our region, Rob Clayton, that it will cost $4 million. He told me that on the phone yesterday.
Mayor, is that, we were talking about that the other day, is that just for this piece or the whole?
The whole thing, for the whole bypass.
So it's the south end? And
Yeah.
Okay.
He told me that would be for the entire bypass. He's estimating $4 million because of the complexity. He put that on his request for Region 4 for their funding for this year, but it has to go to the central UDOT planning organization and make it through that level. Then it has to go to the Transportation Planning Commission. So we still have a few steps to go in that direction. So what we were hoping to do is come together as a city and county and go to the CIB board and ask for that money for the environmental study through the CIB board on both tracks at the same time and see where we could get the money first.
Well, and that's the other piece of that is as we talk to MAG and the lobbyists to help maybe UDOT.
Yes. So we're kind of working several different directions to just say, look, we need $4 million because we cannot plan our valley until we get this alignment secured and everyone knows where this road's going to go. Then we can talk about the airport and the sewer and the power line. I mean, there's so many things that are affecting this that we just need to get that environmental study in place. So I just want to reassure you that annexation, nothing's going to be approved that would impact this road or anywhere where it potentially would be from this planning study. And we want to make sure we continue to communicate and work with you guys on this. And I'm so sorry I have to leave, but thank you for letting me talk.
In fairness to Heber City Council and Heber City, they approved this annexation petition, as I said, December 4th, in this planning meetings that we've been ongoing. we never saw this map with line A, B, and C on until December 16th. Correct. So they didn't have the advantage of this map in that December 4th meeting.
Nor were we aware of the high school.
Nor we were.
Well, yeah, the high school came out in that December,
Yeah. So there's
whenever
just
that
a
meeting
whole
was,
bunch of-
December
So I know you
16th.
have to run there. Just, I'll speak for myself, just my intent for any letter that we would give to Heber would just be to reaffirm what we've said here tonight, is that any annexation or development, we ask that it not impact the bypass.
And we 100% agree with that.
And the other,
I mean, I can't tell you, there's not one thing that's more important to me as mayor is making sure that we get this thing moving along, because it really does impact the whole future of our city.
yeah. The other quick one, very quickly, is, of course, on the other end, the beehive storage annexation. And that's this piece right here. And again, there's the proposed southern bypass coming up to Walmart, up across the industrial parkway. So hopefully Heber in there, as they work with this developer, either purchase or as a condition of annexation, donate the strip across there.
Right, yeah.
So that's the other one that we were concerned about, are those two annexation
Right.
requests.
Thank you. Thanks for watching it. But yeah, I think we're all on the same page. I really do. So,
All right, thank you, Mayor. Heidi and Ron, for Heber City Council, do you guys have anything you'd like to add?
Oh, I mean, just that we talked about it in our meeting last night because of your concerns that were coming to me and to Matt. So that's why we're here, to be sure we understand the concerns, I guess, and work with you.
Thank you.
Like Matt?
Matt, want to come on up?
Matt Brower, City Manager, City of Heber, Council Chair, Council Persons, Administrator. Thank you for having us here tonight. Just a couple of really quick things. Mayor made mention of a CIV application you want to make by February 1st. That's the deadline for those applications. We would be very grateful if you would partner with us on a joint application for possible funding from the CIV. That would require you to have a council item on your agenda approving that. We'll do the same next Tuesday, but we want to make sure that we extend to you an invitation, a joint application with us on that CIV.
You also have to have a public hearing.
That is correct.
Could that be ready for us to pass on that next Wednesday?
We will be ready to do that next Tuesday.
Well, you'll do it Tuesday, we'll meet Wednesday.
If you would do it Wednesday, that'd be fantastic.
What's the CIB loan for?
The loan would be for, it's not a loan, it's a grant that would help us complete the EIS.
Okay, thank you.
And that's for the whole route that we were just discussing?
That's the
Okay.
northwestern and southern section of the route, that's correct.
Okay.
How much would the grant be for?
We would ask for $4 million to cover the cost of it.
And how much would we put into it?
Well, we put a fair amount of money into the process now. You're looking at putting $20,000 into the lobbying effort. We put a fair amount of money into the study of the downtown, the bypass. UDOT's put a fair amount of money into the study as well. So we think between all the partners in this project, hopefully we can put an application together that's pretty strong.
It'll be good if you can put a dollar number to that, what's already got to put into it. Because the CIP hesitates to make any grants. There's no skin in the game from the parties involved.
I agree.
Well, Wasatch County's put money in the past for some of the other connections too.
Sean Seeger with Matt has volunteered to do the
We need to be
application.
reasonable. We can't go back to
Correct.
1997 and say we've been working.
Sean can help us.
Matt, hold on. Mike, can you coordinate with Matt to get that application from them? And then do we need to put that on for a public hearing next week? Is that too tight?
And before they'll accept an application, there's got to be a public hearing. Which is probably I guess, Heber City and the county stating what we're going to use the money for, what happens if we don't get the money, what we're going to do, different steps like that.
Okay.
But that wouldn't have to be next week, it could be later.
Yes, it would have to be next
For
week.
the timing
It's
of
got to
it.
go
Before
in.
February 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so Mike, can you coordinate with Matt to get a copy of that application so we can have it for our public hearing next week?
I'm worried about our notice requirement.
I don't know that we
Yeah.
have enough time.
I don't know
There's
if
not
we have
enough time.
Nor with you.
Well, I don't know that we would have to, if they're the requesting entity, we can just write a letter of support, or what do we need to do there?
Well, I think the request was to be a co-applicant. I got a notice from Sean Seeger as well, making the same request. but I don't know if we can meet the timetable for February
How
1st.
many times do we need, or how many days do we need for a public hearing? Notice,
14.
14?
So Heber wouldn't have enough time either.
Let me work with Sean and find out the details on that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not just passing,
Just
it's
for
not just
that.
passing an ordinance, it's actually a hearing.
Yeah, and it's the notice requirement that's on and stuff like that. So we need to know pretty quickly if we want to do that.
Well, the one question for Sean is if we hold the hearing as soon as we legally can and approve it in both entities, if he could give us a little longer than February 2nd to make the application to the CIB. I mean, that's,
I'm not sure Sean's concerned.
No,
I know
it's
Steve.
Steve.
That's the CIP board.
Steve.
Maybe what we could do is have you contact Candace Powers at the CIP board and see if they'll allow you to make application and follow up with the public hearing.
That's what I do.
Later.
That's how you did it before.
You make application, you're going to be heard sometime in the next trimester.
Yeah, well,
Brilliant idea, let's follow up on that.
Are they gonna wanna wait to see what the legislature?
that's how you did it before, so why should you change
We're
now?
going to pursue both tasks in parallel. We're
Yeah,
going to pursue the CIB as well as the legislature in parallel.
Yep,
that's
had
good.
the public hearing
One nice
after
thing about this
the loan was
request
passed.
is that the chairman of the transportation board also sits on that board.
That's correct.
Who is that now?
Naughty out of,
Oh, I remember.
Is Ron still on that board as well? Is Ron still on the board as
I'm
well?
okay with this.
since he resigned last Monday, we don't know if he's still on the board or not.
Okay, so what's our plan of action to take care of this?
I think it's the best thing to have Matt or Mike call Candace Powers and talk to her about what's needed in the application. Get it started. Because if they're gonna reject the application, we're gonna have a public hearing, and we just won't wait for the public hearing.
Consider done.
I'm okay with that. All right, thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Anything else, Heidi or Ron, on this one? Okay.
thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Wendy, can we put an item on next week's agenda? How do you want to word that, Kendall?
Just, I guess, that are concerned to Wasatch County, I don't know. Heber City Council.
So discussion and possible action on letter of
Letter
concern
of concern.
to Heber City of
And potential protest of the thing, don't know that we need to do
I
that.
think we need to go that far at this point.
No, I'd like to see the letter of concern, no, just so we're on record.
Yeah, I think the letter of concern will be
I
inside.
don't think we need to do the protest.
I think that's supportive of what Heber wants to do.
Could I just ask one more question about the Beehive annexation, and there is that canal easement. Does the bypass road need to be past the canal easement to
It's
the
the
south?
south
It
of it.
can't be on the canal easement,
It
right?
needs to be passed, it needs to be in line with your other road that's already built.
Okay, okay.
It'll come,
see it on
it'll
that
come
picture,
down. If you look at the Beehive annexation, if you go to the east, you'll see,
Right, match the road,
well, yeah, it's not a road.
well, to 1300
Yeah, it's gotta
south.
come across there.
Right, okay, thank you.
And then will you get with Wendy on the wording of that?
Yep.
item? And then, Mike, thank you for reminding me about our notice. I forgot about that. So, no, you caught it.
Admire the details.
You saved us, thank you.
We're gonna be going
All
forward.
right, anything else on item 5 from the council? If not, we'll go back to item 4.